Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Mustafa Mohammed Boche, and in today's tutorial, we're actually going to continue from where we left off, and we're actually going to organize our code much properly. So first off, I'm sorry for taking too long to continue with this series. I was handling some personal stuff, but yeah, so let's continue. So like I'm saying, in today's tutorial, we're actually going to organize our code much better, right? So if you're writing a backend, for instance, using Node, you don't want to write all your endpoints in, for instance, the app.js file. Okay, you don't want to do that. You want to structure your code much better, because imagine, for instance, we are doing this for instance, courses, right? And then we are going to do some, for instance, students registration, let's say administration. You don't want to put all those endpoints here. You actually want to structure your code. So the first thing that we're actually going to do is, since these are the courses that we are handling, right, we are actually going to make this a resource so that we can actually export it and then use it anywhere at all that we want. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a file inside the Node server, and I'll call this, for instance, resource.js, right? And over here, I'm going to copy this code, right? I'll copy it right here, and then I'll paste it here. And what I'm actually going to do is I can choose to either export this as a JSON, as an object, sorry, or I can just export it singly as this. So you first and foremost, let's just export it as it is. So we are going to do module.export, and then we are going to export the courses. So with this particular line of code, what we are saying is we are exporting these courses, right? So whenever we require it, we can be able to access these courses. So I can actually come over here and then require it over here, right? Instead of this, I can comment this out and then just do const courses goes to require, and then I'm just going to require the resource. Okay, I'm going to require the resource, and we know that the resource actually contains courses, but this, of course, this is not descriptive enough, so we'll actually change it. So I'm going to come down here. Actually, let me name it courses, right? So if we go back and then we make a get request, we are still getting the courses, right? You realize that if I come back and I make this, for instance, Java 1, and we save it, if we make the new get request, we actually get Java 1 right here, right? We actually get Java 1 right here. So this means our export is working properly. But like I'm saying, you may actually want to export it as an object, so something like this. So if we export it as this become more descriptive. So instead of this, we can actually do dot, for instance, courses, right? And then it becomes more descriptive. So now we are done with the first section, that is cleaning this particular code. So we can take this out, and then the next source of cleaning that we actually have to do is with respect to the various endpoints. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to create a folder called API, right? And since we are dealing with courses, I'm actually going to create a file called courses, right? Like this. And I'm going to require the express. So const express goes to require express. And with express, you actually have the router, so we can actually call the router and then use the router. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do const router, which is actually going to go to the express dot the router, which is this. And in order for me not to forget, I'm actually going to export the router immediately. So now we can actually, set the various endpoints for this particular router, right? So I can do the router.get, and it's the same thing like what we have right over here, right? Like these ones. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy this, right? I'm going to copy this from there. As a matter of fact, you know what? Yeah, let me copy it. Let me copy it. Or let me cut it from there, right? So I'm cutting it from there and I'm pasting it right over here. And I'll change this from app to router, right? I'll change this from app to router. And one thing that I'm also going to do is, you realize that initially we're all hitting the courses endpoints, right? And since we're actually cleaning our code, in order for us to use the resource right over here, which is this particular course in our route or in our app, what we're actually going to do is we are going to require it, right? So we're going to come down here and then we are going to do, for instance, app.use. So the use is basically like a middleware, right? So we are saying whenever we hit courses, whenever we hit this particular endpoint, it should basically, use the file which we are actually requiring right over here. So I want to go to API and I want to require the file courses. Okay, so whenever we hit this particular endpoint, which is the slash courses, it's actually going to require the resource which is inside the courses right over here, and it's going to use the content in there to serve us. Okay, so what I'm also going to do is I'm going to cut these courses from there because we don't need it here. We actually need it inside this particular courses, and I think there's supposed to be one back. Yep, and then resource like that. So sorry. So this is good. So this is all that we are doing for the cleaning. This is all that we are doing for the cleaning. So first and foremost, I'm going to comment this out, right? I'm commenting these guys out, and then we can hit our endpoint again. Whoa, cannot get courses. Okay. Okay, so let me come back here and then let's see. Whoa, okay, so why is this? Of course, the reason why it was saying that is because you realize that right over here we still have these courses right over there, and we are supposed to take that out. So we'll take this out and then we'll hit the endpoint again, and then we are getting all the courses. So this is how we clean our code. Okay, so I'm going to come back here, and then for instance, let me uncomment this. I'm going to come back here, and then we're actually going to copy this out. We'll cut it out actually, and then we'll take it back to the courses, and then we'll paste it, but we'll make sure that we change the app to router. Okay, we'll change it to router, and then we are going to save it, and we are going to do the same thing for the rest. So for the post, for the put, and then for the get. So yeah, let me cut it one after the other. Come to courses, paste this right down here, change this to router, save it, go back. Sorry, I'm going to cut this, go back here and paste it, change this to router again, save it, go back, cut this, go back here, and then paste it. And make sure you change it to router, right? So now that we have this, our app.js file looks, much clean. It looks very, very clean, very, very clean. So I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save that file. I realize that when we hit our endpoints, we get that. Now, if I add, for instance, PHP, let's say we want to make a GET request to get just the course by the title PHP. Whoa. Okay, of course, there were certain things that I was supposed to do, which is remove the courses from here, and also hold on, remove it from here. The reason why we are doing this, the reason why we are removing these courses from here is because we've specified it right over here. We are saying that whenever we hit the endpoint /courses, it should require the resources in this particular file. So we don't need to state the courses all over again. So we just need to clean this. And let me go up, make sure that everything is clean like that. Good. So now if we save and then we go back, we are getting PHP. If we do, for instance, Java, we are getting for Java. If we do for JavaScript, we are getting for JavaScript. And that is how, you clean, your code, right? So you realize that before we had a lot of code over here, but now our app.js file looks very, very simple. And this actually makes working very easier, right? So I'm going to pause right over here, and then in the next tutorial, what we're actually going to do is we are going to look at, for instance, validation. Okay, we are going to look at validation. So thank you for having the time to watch this tutorial. I hope this has been helpful and that you will use it as you are learning along. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.